This is episode number 4 of our series of Behind the Scenes with City Ministries, and we're in November now. And I just want to encourage you to be thinking about City Ministries as a potential organization for your year in giving. We are doing amazing things with helping families that are in crisis. We have the Roseville Cottages, which provide housing for families that want to do foster care. We are running a preschool kindergarten and have been doing so almost 27 years, and it's been serving the community here in the Kirkland area and vicinity. We also partnered with Pursuit Church to launch an elementary school, so we have grades 1 through 4 that started this year, and you can still sign up. In fact, sign-ups for the school are going to begin early next year, so be thinking about bringing your children to the elementary program as well as the kindergarten and preschool. So we're really excited about that. So without further ado, I want to get into where we are now with City Ministries. And so in this episode 4 we're around 2009, and we just got licensed as an agency in 2008. So I think I mentioned before that we were recruiting foster parents to be licensed. We had the agency that we were working on getting licensed, and the Roseville Cottages were under construction all at the same time. And so all of that came together. So at the end of 2008, early 2009, our agency was licensed and we were official. And then later, in around March, April, our first family was licensed. The cottages were complete. Our first few families had moved in, and we got our first placement in May of 2009. So 2009 was an incredible beginning for us. But at the same time, I was going through some things personally in my family. My father was ill. He was 89 years old, and towards the end of 2008, we pretty much knew that, his days were short. And so that Christmas was kind of, a real, I'll just say nostalgic time, because one of the things, if you've ever been with someone who was nearing the end of life, that they like to do is to kind of talk about life and talk about the past and ask you about yourself and your husband, your kids, and Dad was just, checking in and making sure everybody was okay and really being very encouraging. I went to see him a couple days after Christmas and was just sitting by his bedside chatting with him, listening to the nostalgic music from the 30s and 40s, and just having that conversation. It was always my heart to want to be holding my dad's hand when he went into heaven, but I didn't get to do that. I was going to go with our intern program. At that time, we had intern program at City Church, and every year in partnership with another church that had a ministry there in DC, we would have interns go. And so it was the inauguration time, and I remember sitting by my dad's bedside chatting with him about the trip and saying, Dad, I don't want to go on this trip because I want to be here with you. I want to be here with you when you leave this world. And he's like, Cheryl, you better go, because if he messes up, we may never have another Black president. My dad had a great sense of humor. And so he convinced me to go with the interns program to the inauguration, which I did. And so that was in January. I left. It was freezing cold. I'll tell you, I'll never put myself in a crowd that big again as long as I live, as if I can help it. It was really scary to be surrounded like that by so many different people. If you've been to a big event like that and really can't move, you'll understand what I'm saying. But so we went to the inauguration, got home, got back to the house afterwards where we were staying, and got a phone call from my husband, and he said, your dad's not doing well. We're at the hospital. We're not giving him, through the night. And I'm just like, what? So immediately, John and Rose Smith were leading the interns at that time, and Rose got on the phone, and we were trying to find an airline ticket, that I could get back. But of course, everybody's trying to leave DC to go home. And so I couldn't get a ticket out. So I'm talking to my dad on the phone, and I'm like, Dad, would you wait for me to get back? And he just told me, he said, Cheryl, I'm not going to wait for you. And he said, so long. And about 3 or 4 hours later, I get a call again from my husband saying my dad had passed on. So, needless to say, I had to finish out the week. I got to go to the Vietnam Memorial and, just did some things. It was really a tough time to be away, wanting to get home, to be with my mom and my siblings who were all coming home for that. So I get home. My husband picks me up at the airport and he's like, "Thank God you're back." Because everybody got confused. I was with my mom when she made all the arrangements. So they all got confused, took my dad's remains to the wrong place. Anyway, I got back. I didn't even go home. He just took me straight to my mother and dad's home. And that's where that was at. So it was really, you just never really think about, when your parents are going to leave this world. And I just feel blessed that I had my dad as long as I did, because I was like 48, I believe, at the time, and he was just short of 90 before he passed away. But it was really a season of just being supportive to my mom and just being thankful for the time that I did have my dad in my life. And so that's going on, but behind the scenes of the work that we're doing here at City Ministries, but we have an incredible team. And I'm proud to say that a lot of that team is still here today. That's still here. We're all walking together. And that's a really good reason to be confident when you give to City Ministries, because we're committed to this vision. We're committed to serving the community, and we're committed to what God called us to do many, many years ago. So we move into the summertime. We've had our first placement. We are still recruiting foster parents, and the agency is slowly growing with families. And at the same time, the school is going well. Our kindergarten is stable at that point. We started it, and now we're having consistent students in there. And so things are going really well, really well for City Ministries. And at the same time, in 2009, the pastor of the church, of City Church at the time, was ill. He was very seriously ill, and Pastor Judah had stepped up to be the preaching pastor at the time, and my late husband and I were campus pastors at the Alderwood campus up north. And so it was just a real busy season. Everyone was focused on prayer and intercession on behalf of the pastor of the City Church at the time, and we were all just taking those steps of faith, moving forward. And that fall, we had our Prosperity with a Purpose conference, which was always a great conference. I know a lot of people have concerns about the use of the word prosperity, but the way that Pastor Wendell really framed it was that, we are successful in things for a purpose. God gives us the ability to make a lot of money for a reason, and it's not just for our own personal needs and our own self-satisfaction, but it's to sow into the kingdom. So that conference was always so powerful and so inspiring for everyone in the church. And so we were at the conference, and I didn't know it at the time, but that was the last ministry opportunity that my late husband would have, because the Sunday after the conference that morning was when he passed away. And that was I shared this on my personal Facebook page, and you're more than willing to go there and look at the story there, just the details of it. But all I can say is I awakened to my life changing forever with the loss of my husband. And what I will say is that in spite of that, we continued to be faith-filled here at City Ministries and know that God is in control. And so stay tuned for the next episode number 5, and we'll continue the story there.